Good evening. Welcome to North West Tonight with Annabelle Tiffin
and Roger Johnson. Our top story. Manchester votes to ban protests outside abortion clinics, but campaigners say it is an attack on their democratic rights.
We'll hear from both sides of the debate. Councillors in Manchester have voted to ban protests outside abortion clinics. It makes the city only the second local authority in England to do so. Councillor Sarah Judge, who proposed the motion, claims women attending NHS clinics have been harassed and intimidated.
Pro-life supporters say that the proposed ban is an affront to freedom of speech. We'll hear from both sides in a moment. First, this report from Juliette Phillips.
Abortion is an issue which has long divided opinion. These were the scenes in Northern Ireland just a few years ago. Councillors in Manchester today supported a motion that could lead to a ban on demonstrations outside abortion clinics.
So I declare the motion to be carried.
When you're in that vulnerable position where you've made, quite frankly, what is one of the most difficult decisions a woman could ever make, when you're then approached by people carrying pictures of fetuses, when you're given religious material, when holy water is thrown in your path, that to me just, it doesn't sit right, and it's not allowing a woman to make a decision about her healthcare needs in privacy and without intimidation.
The proposed ban probably won't come into force in time to stop a protest happening here, outside the Mary Stopes clinic in Fallowfield in 3 weeks' time. 40 Days for Life are an anti-abortion group. They'll be holding a 40-day vigil along this street. Their website says it will include fasting, prayer and peaceful activism. Aileen Power says she will be attending next month's vigil.
We're not demonstrating and we're not protesting. We're just there in a loving capacity to help the men and women who may need it.
Today's motion has only just been passed, but it's clear this issue will continue to divide Manchester and beyond. Juliette Phillips, BBC North West Tonight.
Well, let's get more from both sides of the argument then. Councillor Sarah Judge, who you heard from in Juliette's report, proposed the Manchester City Council motion, and Alithea Williams from the Society for the Protection of the Unborn Child. I began by asking Alithea what she thought about Councillor Judge's proposal.
I'm disappointed to see that Manchester City Council is acting to essentially stop people helping women. So these are small groups of prayerful, peaceful people outside abortion clinics who just want to offer women options that they might not be getting inside the clinic.
Councillor Judge, you're choking off freedom of speech here.
I think I really appreciate and respect what Alithea has just said. What the motion today aims to do is not to take away that right to protest or to take away a woman having access to that information. What that motion explicitly said was that outside the doors of an abortion clinic, when a woman is already in a vulnerable position, is not the appropriate time to have a group of people who, a lot of them may well act in what they may deem to be a peaceful manner. However, women accessing the clinic often feel intimidated and distressed by those people outside.
Alithea, is it appropriate for people to be filmed on mobile phones going in to talk or perhaps even to have an abortion at such a vulnerable time?
No, it absolutely isn't, and no evidence has been presented of that happening. There's been a lot of allegations thrown around about intimidation and harassment, but we've seen no video evidence, we've seen no written evidence, and we say that this simply isn't happening. The people there want to help women. It's not in their best interests to intimidate them. Nobody's going to talk to you if you're there shouting at them.
Councillor Judge, have there been police reports of this?
There have been a number of police reports from the local clinics here in Manchester, not only members of the public who are trying to access the clinic, but also staff members who work at the clinics, where they have felt intimidated and they felt distressed upon either going into work or going in to access a health service, and that is ultimately what this is. It is a health service.
Alithea?
Abortion isn't like any other form of healthcare. As many of the councillors were saying, it's a very difficult decision that women have to make. And what we think is essential is that they have all the options.
Haven't they thought about it before they turn up at the clinic, though? Or are they not turning up at the clinic to be helped by a professional, and therefore an outside intervention maybe isn't helpful?
Well, everyone says that they will have made their decision, but actually studies show that many women going into the clinic are ambivalent at that point, or they might just be going to find out their options. You know, perhaps they're in an abusive relationship, or perhaps they have money difficulties. If they don't know that there are crisis pregnancy numbers that they can call, or sometimes they just want that little bit of support to enable them to make a different decision rather than one they might come to regret.
If this goes through, Councillor Judge, how are you going to enforce it? The police resources in Greater Manchester are already stretched thinly.
Yeah, I think those next stages will be considered over the forthcoming months. Now that motion has been passed through council, I'm very conscious that we don't want to be limiting people's freedom of speech. So we need to make sure that whatever measures we put in are appropriate.
And of course, if there is genuine, real intimidation and harassment going on, there are laws in place for that. You can call the police, you can arrest them.
Alithea Williams from the Society for the Protection of the Unborn Child and Councillor Sarah Judge from Manchester City Council. Thank you both very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.